Hi everybody, my name is Chris and this is At Home with Chris, and it is officially time to kick off the Christmas crafting season. And I couldn't be happier to do it in this collaboration video, but more on that later. So let's begin. DIY number 1. Alright, we're going to start with this mop head, and you're just going to need 2 of the strands, and they just come out easily by pulling them off. You see I'm pulling off a bunch of them because I wasn't really sure how many I was going to need or where this project was going when I started, as most of my projects do. Now this one's going to be a little hard for me to explain, so just keep watching. But you're also going to need a yarn in the color of your choice, and I've just got this blue color, and you'll need 8 strands of those. And on the mop head pieces, just pull away the little strings. There's 4 strings in each strand. So that's why you'll need 2 strands so you can have 8 of those strings. Now to begin, I've got the cinnamon stick, and I just picked these up from Hobby Lobby. And believe it or not, they do smell like cinnamon. But we're just gonna, I don't remember what this is called, this little tying, but just gonna kind of loop that over the cinnamon stick, and then on the inside loop is where you're going to strand that white piece. And just pulling it up, tighten it up. You're going to continue, grab another piece of the colored yarn, loop that around the cinnamon stick, grab your piece of mop head, and then you'll put that one under both the loops in your colored yarn. We're going to do 5 more, looping it through the double loop. And then on your last one, after you get that one looped around your cinnamon stick, you'll take that yarn piece and just hook it through the loop that's towards the inside. And we do that so when we're making the beard, which is the white pieces, they won't be on the outside of the hat looking awkward.
And then next we will take some painter's tape and just tape the top part down. Okay, and you've got 4 pieces here. Okay, take the first 4. You got your 2 in the middle. You got this one.
Okay, you'll have 4 strings. You're going to take the one to the left, cross it over the 2 in the middle, holding the farthest right one above that piece you crossed over. Then you're going to come under and through that loop, and then you'll be able to pull those 2 side pieces to tighten up around the middle pieces. You're going to do 2 of those on each 4 strands of yarn. And you'll do that all the way across on the first row.
So you got your 4. Take this one, loop it over, holding this one up, lay that down, pull the middle up, and go through that loop the first one formed. And then you're going to have it to where you can tighten it up. And then you'll do the same. You're going to do that twice each 2. Okay, when you get to your second row, you're going to leave the 2 on the outside out. The 2 on both outsides are not going to be involved, okay? So then you'll take these 4, 2 in the middle,
And you're going to repeat that just like you did on the first row. You'll do 2 knots in each section all the way across. Now on the third row, you're going to leave 4 out on each end. And then you're just going to repeat the process like we did in the first 2 rows all the way across. And doing this on those 3 rows is just kind of give us like a little V for the top of a hat. You know how hats kind of come to a point at the top.
Then I just got a piece of jute string.
And I'm just going to make a little loop in that jute string. The loop part is going to be towards the top of the hat. And then you're just going to grab one piece and start twisting it around your colored yarn. And then you're going to take the long piece you just twisted around, put it through that loop on the bottom side, pulling upward. And then that way you can just pull those 2 strands and you'll have a little hidden knot. And now to make this easier, I'm just going to go ahead and pull my whole piece off the table, turn it right side up. It'll just make a little more sense. But then I'm just going to trim some of what is essentially our beard. And when you get back to the top of that hat, you're going to take that jute string, and I like just to make sure that it's tight. So I just split the strands apart so I can see it. Just make sure they're tight. I'm going to go ahead and gather the top part of those tassels, and I'm just going to trim the excess off because that part is going to be our fluffy part on the top of the hat. And then I'm just going to tie a knot in both of those strands of jute. And you want to get that knot as low as possible, as close to the yarn as possible. And I kind of had to fidget with mine a little bit. And then we're going to go ahead and make another loop with that jute. I'm going to twist the other end around. And then I'm going to thread it. And then that way I can pull those 2 tails down, giving it a knot at the bottom. And that way we've got a little hanger. And I'm just going to make sure that is tight. And then I'll trim off the excess. And I'm going to go ahead and use this little comb, and I'm just going to comb very softly over those mop strands, just making it a little fluffy. Now you don't want to press too hard into the mop strands and pull, because if you do that, those mop strands will come apart. But just kind of fluff it up. And then I'm just going to gather those strands together, and I'm going to trim it into a beard shape.
20 millimeter half bead, or you could use a regular bead.
And then I'm just going to use some hot glue and glue that half bead right below the brim of the hat in the center. And that is going to be our nose. And I really hope all that made sense, because this little gnome is really cute and it's fun to make once you get the hang of it. This video, I am so excited to be participating in the Just Our Imagination collaboration. This collaboration is hosted by Kathy Jo DIY and Rustic and Lace DIY, with a special guest host, Joanne's DIY Life. In my description box, you will find a playlist to everybody participating in this collaboration, and I hope you will take the time to check out their videos, which I am sure will be amazing. And if you're just coming into my channel from the collaboration list, I'd like to welcome you and hope you will consider hitting that subscribe button and become part of my DIY family. And thank you, Brenda and Kathy Jo, for having me. DIY number 2.
Okay, this next one, we are going to take a pill bottle. And you know what I see when I look at that, right? I'm going to go ahead and clean this pill bottle with some alcohol. See if I can't get some of that sheen down and see how well my paint holds to it. Now you can definitely, if you want these to last and not scrape off, hold. I mean, you can always put like a layer of Mod Podge down or spray it with a clear matte sealer. And as you can see, I already have all the paper off.
And I am going to start with the cap, and I am going to paint that black. And later on, I'm going to show you an alternative. So you could actually skip this part if you decide to go with the second option for the top part. And then I'm just going to paint the bottom part white.
All right, then once you got that painted and it's dried, I'm going to apply a layer of Mod Podge, and I'm just going to use the matte Mod Podge, and I'm going to do that all over. Now, I do highly recommend that you do a spray paint on this. It will save you a little bit of time and aggravation, but, well, I didn't feel like going outside, so call me lazy. Okay, I've got this scarf from the Dollar Tree, and I want to cut about 6 inches wide. All right, which is about right there.
And as far as the height of this fabric, it doesn't really matter because we are going to end up trimming it down.
And then with the side that you want out facing you,
we are just going to go ahead and glue those ends together.
Trim that just a little bit.
And then we're just going to flip it right side out. And then I just had a little too much fabric there on the end, so I'm just going to trim that up a little bit, trying to make it a little easier to fold the brim of the hat up. And then I'm just going to apply a little bit of hot glue to keep that in place. And then I'm just going to pull that hat over the cap, just kind of fidgeting with it, trying to get the brim to cooperate. And I'm just going to go ahead and take some jute twine, and I'm going to tie it around that hat.
Tie that in a knot. Trim off the top. Then I'm just going to make some little slits.
Now I'm just going to work on getting this hat stable. So just kind of fold it up that rim. I'm going to apply some hot glue. There's a little ledge that runs around this pill bottle. And I'm going to apply some hot glue there. And I'm going to push the hat into that. That way it not only covers it up, but it stays in place. And then that little piece on the back would not fold up right because of the hot glue. So I trimmed it down a little bit just to get rid of some of that excess. And then I am going to take some hot glue and I am going to apply just a little dab to the back and just push the back of that hat into that glue. And that way that part will stay in place as well.
Now he's got a little hat. So you can skip the part where you painted it black. I just didn't know that I wasn't going to like all the letters and stuff around it. So I decided to go this route.
So I got this orange ear plug from the Dollar Tree, and I am going to shape it into a carrot. And, well, I'm just going to do the best I can. So you guys just roll with it.
I always have to wait a second for these things to reshape themselves. There. Now it will stay positioned. I I've got some buttons here. These were just from Dollar Tree. I thought, well, why don't I just make them a little button face? I don't know. We'll see. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to make a carrot, so orange button might work.
So we're just going to go ahead and glue all the pieces on.
It looks more like a beak than a carrot. Oh my goodness.
And since I didn't have enough small black buttons for his mouth, I'm just going to take some black paint and the back of my paintbrush and just dot some little dots for his mouth there.
I thought the hat's got a little pink in it, so we're going to make this a little girl. But I think 2 buttons would be too many. So I'm just going to put 1 on. Okay, I've got these little stickers here, snowflake stickers, and I'm going to take one of the blue ones because it looks like the little piece in it's a pinkish color, and I think that'll look really pretty. Now, I don't remember where I got these from. It was more than likely Hobby Lobby, but I don't know. That is so cute. This is something you could make with the kiddos, the grandkids. Very easy. You might just want to do the hot glue yourself or use a different type of glue, but that would be so fun for little kids to help you make.
DIY number 3.
Okay, so I have got some cardboard here, and then I have got a few wood cutouts that I'll be using as template. I've also got a jar of paint and a little dome, round little glass dome here. I'm just going to simply trace all of our pieces onto cardboard. And then once we get those, I'm actually going to make a little bit of a trunk on my trees. And then once you get those traced out, you can simply just cut them out. And you can use scissors or you can use an X-Acto knife. I'm not sure which will be better. All right, so you're going to do that to all these pieces.
And since I didn't have a snowman, I just took these 2 round surfaces, one's a little smaller than the other, and I just traced them one on top of another to make a snowman.
Okay, so I got my trees and my snowman cut out on the cardboard. I've got 3 little bowls. You're gonna need some water. You're gonna need some school glue and some paints. The paint's really just whatever color you want to paint this stuff. I've got 2 shades of green, a brown for the trunk, and a white for the snowman. And you're gonna need some toilet paper. Woohoo! So what we want to first start with is we're going to shred this toilet paper into little bitty strips. So I'm just going to...
So I pretty much just roll the paper out on top of itself. This is just going to make it easier to trim. And then you're going to just need a pair of scissors and you're just going to trim little strips. And you're just going to do that for as many as you feel that you need. I don't really have how much to recommend or suggest. I just kind of just until I filled up my bowls.
So once we got them all in a bowl, I'm going to add some water. I've got some sticks here just to stir them up.
And you just want to add enough water to get that damp enough that when you stir it up, it starts crumbling apart. I actually ended up putting a little too much water in mine, so much so that you could actually squeeze out the toilet paper and have the water drip out. And that's not what you need. Like I said, just damp enough so when you stir it up, that paper starts coming apart.
Probably gonna need more, but we'll see what we got. Now the white one, just gonna add some white, gonna add some green, gonna add some of this lighter green, and add some brown.
And then you just want to give those a good stir.
All right, now we're gonna add some of our glue.
And as far as the glue, you're just going to add roughly about as much water. So it's kind of a 50-50 mix. And like I said, I had added too much water to mine, so I was worried about it sticking, but that glue did a good job. I had no issues with it sticking. And I did find it easier to remove the cap off the glue and pour it in that way. And then you're just going to want to give that a good stir as well.
Okay, so no, we're not going to have enough to cover this whole tree. I'm going to go ahead and start at the bottom, work my way up.
And believe it or not, a little of this stuff goes a long way. It really spreads out. But I'm just going to take some tweezers to apply this. And these tweezers have a little pointed edge. It's actually the Cricut brand one. And I'm just going to pick up that toilet paper, place it on our piece, and once I get it off of my tweezers, that little pointed edge is going to help me move it around and smooth it out. And so I had this second color of green because, you know, trees aren't all one shade of green, not for the most part. And I thought adding that in would just give it a little bit of interest. I don't know. Part of me thinks I should have just stuck with one color, but if I was to do this with my grandkids, I would definitely make it easier for them. Or you could actually add some different colors to the tissue paper in separate bowls, and they can put ornaments on there.
Wow, that looks pretty neat. You guys see that? People say this looks like rice. I think it looks like cottage cheese.
And then we're just going to do this to all the pieces. I did end up adding some of that white to the trees. I just wanted to give it a little bit of a snowy appearance.
So that's what you're going to have. I'm going to mix up some more green and probably some black for the snowman face. Once you've got those finished, we're going to let that dry. Okay, so overnight these dried. Still a little damp, but I think that's because I used a little too much water. But what I want to do now is just kind of paint the sides.
So I'm just going to paint around the edges of these pieces just to try to disguise some of that cardboard. And when I get to the snowman, I decided I wanted him to have some buttons, so I just took some black paint and added the buttons right on top of the white, and that worked perfectly. So if you wanted to do that for the face, then you can definitely do that. This would just save you from having to add toilet paper in a bunch of different colors to a bunch of little jars.
But you can punch little holes in them, hang them up on the tree. This would be a great craft for kids. Cammy, quit. This cat is over here trying to drink my paint water. Cammy. No, come over here and act like you're good. Okay, I like the Fusion paint, but I do not like this bottle, these large bottles. I can't never get the top off, even when I don't put it on tight. Oh my Lord. This literally sucks. Jeez.